Welcome to the latest episode of the Wealth Mosaic in Conversation. For this episode, we're going to consider client-centric operating models and client lifecycle management with Rabih Ramadi, co-founder and CEO of Avantos. Stephen and Rabih discuss the modernisation of wealth management technology, artificial intelligence as an operational enabler, industry transformation and changing client expectations, and Avantos' growth strategy and future roadmap. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
Rabih, welcome to the Wealth Mosaic in Conversation. Thanks for joining us. Good to speak to you again.
Great talking to you.
Rabih, you were introduced to us by a good contact, a respected contact, my old boss, in fact, Alois Pirker, a year or so ago now, and I've heard very good things about you and the business. So, do you just want to give us a little bit of an introduction to yourself? You know, who you are, your background, your experience, how you got into technology, how you got into wealth management, and we start there.
Absolutely. So, Avantos is my second startup. Prior to Avantos, I was a founding team member of Unquark, a techno-code startup that I joined from the beginning, and I was part of building the business. And it was a lot of fun. And prior to that, I come from consulting. I led capital market consulting for KPMG. I grew up working with the large, complex banking, financial service institutions. And prior to that, I did quite a bit of engineering studies before financial services.
So it sounds from that background that you like long days and lots of work. If you've been in the startup world and in the consulting world with the big banks, you like to start early and finish late.
My wife tell me it's self-inflicted, and I agree with her. But yes, the routine has been there for a long time. Long working hours, early morning start, late finish, but it makes it fun and exciting.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, probably more than me, there's a lot to do and a lot of problems to solve and a lot of tackle issues to tackle across the wealth space. So let's get into the business of Antos. Can you provide us a bit of a background introduction? You know, why you founded it, what's it all about? You know, what the value is to the wealth industry, what the challenges are that it's trying to support.
Yeah, we the idea of Aventus is an idea that myself and my co-founder have been thinking about for a long, long time, which is, how to optimize for how a wealth manager and broadly how a financial institution should manage their client pro sales. So the moment you start onboarding a client to one or multiple products and servicing them for the products that they own with you and the product that you can upsell to them, how to really rethink in that space, and bring efficiency, bring more insights, bring more capabilities to basically improve the experience and the productivity of the front office as well as the operations team. Uh, we have done a lot of work in that space prior to Aventos. We have seen what works and a lot of the things that typically don't work. And the idea for us is we wanted to build an operating system specialized in this space. We're not trying to solve every problem in financial services. We're very focused on the way to solve the way basically a financial institution manage their clients. And with AI, we thought of new capabilities, new technologies to tackle the space. We had the idea, we took it to Mercer Advisor, who agreed to become our first client even before we started the company. We built it with them. We saw amazing success, and based on that, we went and raised funding in the market and got some amazing investors and clients on the platform.
So now it's all full steam ahead to tackle the broader industry. So can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that firms have faced historically with, siloed systems or legacy infrastructure, or whatever they have in place, what are the challenges that they actually experience that cause them friction?
The fundamental challenge in wealth management and across financial services is the businesses have grown traditionally around products, not around the client itself.
Yeah.
So you will launch a new investment product, a new private market product, a new insurance product, a new banking product, and then you think of who the client is. As a result of that, companies don't have a holistic view of the client. They look at the client from a product lens, versus the other way around, which is like Steven is my client, and now I can map to Steven all the products that would be beneficial to Steven. So that's the fundamental shift in terms of how to holistically think of a client. Um, People always had the idea to be client-centric. So it's not like we created a new concept. The challenge historically was technically it was not feasible. So everybody wanted to have a single view of the client. Everybody wanted a holistic way to service a client or to offer them more products. But technology, it was difficult to do because of the fragmentation of the tech stack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the product cores are different. The custodians in the wealth management space are different. Hence why we came up with the idea of a way to unify the way you should service a client across systems. We're not going to replace every system that was built in financial service. That's not the point, because if you do this, it would take forever and adoption will be super hard. And it's not about creating new data sets. There's tons of data floating around any financial service companies. It's more around like how can you put a context for that data? How can you join the data in a way to enable proper productivity, proper AI capabilities, and a real context to holistically service a client?
It seems counterintuitive for an industry that's supposedly built around the client and is client-centric, like you said, that the tech stack was kind of built in reverse from a product-centric framework. Um, what's the classification for your systems? You know, there's CRM, there's client onboarding, there's client experience platforms, there's a whole load of stuff out there. How do you describe what Avantos is when you consider maybe the entrenched view of how firms see the tech stack and the providers that exist already?
Good question. I don't know if there's a category yet for this space, but we call it client management or client lifecycle management.
Yeah.
So post sales, we're not trying to optimize the way you go after new prospects or do lead gens. That's not the space, at least for now. We're not focused on that space, but post that. So everything you do to when you touch a client across the services you offer to them, all the way from the advisor, what the advisor do to service the clients, to operations, to compliance. That's the space we're really focusing on, and that's how we call this category.
Yeah. You referenced your sort of founding client, the firm that you took it to originally, who you built it with, and you said that they've seen great returns or a great um, they've seen positive developments from from working with you. Can you talk a little bit more about what the return on investment might look like? You know, not specifically for them, but for the market in general.
We have seen, and again, this is still like, it's not like we have tons of data and things are changing very quickly in a positive way. But typically, we are seeing an impact between 30 to 40% advisor productivity in terms of client coverage.
Yeah.
We're seeing operational scale efficiency going by 50%.
Yeah.
I can't quantify yet the client retention or the upsell. We're already seeing a very positive momentum in this. I can't quantify it yet, but the expectation is client retention metrics will go up substantially, and client upsell, organic growth with existing clients should go up substantially too.
When you look at your sort of your target market, so who you're serving now and who you will service, obviously, you know, the framework for this is wealth management, but you've also referenced broader financial services marketplace. Can you talk a little bit about the firms in the wealth space that you're servicing and looking to service, and perhaps the firms or the categories outside of wealth that this is also relevant to?
Yeah, we're for now focusing on large, complex institutions, like Guardian Life, like SCI, Vanguard, Mercer. Our plan in wealth management is we are partnering with some providers to also service the mid-market.
Mhm.
So we're going to soon have a number of clients in the mid-market space, like anywhere between 10 to $30 billion AUM type of clients.
Yeah.
With Guardian Life specifically, we are excited because we are working both on the wealth and insurance side. We're gonna probably by year end have our first banking wealth client. We believe strongly in the multi-product world, and it's already happening where The banks are selling wealth management products, insurance companies are selling wealth managers are selling banking and wealth and insurance products. There's a big conversion in the product space where every company wants to holistically service client. So if Stephen is my client for a product, why wouldn't I offer other products to Stephen, even if I'm not the one manufacturing all the products? So, and from a client perspective, it provides a lot of value. Nobody wants to work with 10 different institutions to do their financial wellness. They'd rather go with one provider. So our plan is to be across banking, wealth, and insurance, as well as the broker-dealer space.
Yeah, perfect. I think the future, the evolution of the sector in terms of who the client is, how they want to be serviced, what they can access through institutions is a really interesting dynamic around the wealth space. So you see the product and service landscape kind of ballooning, but equally clients don't want to have to go to several or multiple organizations to meet their needs, right? Whatever they are. So do you see the market fundamentally changing in terms of who services the client, what they service them with, and therefore the platforms that are required? Because it's a very fragmented space now. I might go for an insurance provider here and a wealth management provider here, and another, depending on my net worth, I might then have a specialist doing my private market stuff. I might then have someone who's doing my banking. It gets a bit of a mess. So, do you see that changing?
We do like we see, especially the bigger financial institution, they want to offer the full capabilities.
Yeah,
They want to be able to say, okay, you want a loan, you want an insurance policy for your yacht, or you want an investment product, or you want an alternative product. We can offer all the stuff for you. Technology-wise, operationally, currently is very challenging because that means a lot of integration, a lot of different core systems, and they're all very fragmented. Like there's a loan system is very different than the insurance underwriting system, very different than the custodian system for wealth.
yeah,
And that's the value we bring, which is like, yeah, leave the system where they are. We're gonna build that abstraction layer that you as an advisor should be able to seamlessly navigate within the system without having to go to all the underlying core system that are also typically very antiquated in nature. Like the core system across every financial segments, a lot of them are still mainframe based, and
yeah.
that's not going to change in the near future. So rather than trying to wait for the system to change, which may not be in our lifetime, is more that like leave them where they are and build a modern AI architecture on top of them to allow for faster distribution.
Yeah. So that's another important point. You're not asking these firms to rip out core infrastructure. You're sitting on and enabling it. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about the product in terms of, how it's been built, some of its specialisms? I think you mentioned AI earlier, so if you could get into a little bit about what that means in the context of Avantos.
Yeah, typically, Stephen, there are three challenges. The reason why the client management is a problem space, it has been a problem space for, I don't know, since I started my career a long time ago. And if anything, it became more complex and more challenging because specific of what you mentioned before, the multiplication of the products.
Yeah.
The more product you have, the more regulation you have, the more complexity you bring to the space. And people typically tackle the space by tackling the workflow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we build workflows, and then if we find quicker way to build these workflows, we should be good. The problem with this is it works till it stops working. It it very quickly hits scaling issues because the data variation and the variation of these workflows, the permutation can be the infinity.
Yeah.
And what we have found out is unless you have a data foundation that is specifically built for the space and specifically models the client, and the client is not just Steven, it's Steven's household.
Yeah.
All the financial product, each financial product, they have their own definition from a data perspective for onboarding and servicing. And the third dimension are the agent, which is whoever touching the client.
Yeah.
It can be an advisor, operations. Unless you can find a way to build the data foundation with sophisticated data model that link these three entities, you can never scale the workflow, the servicing in the space, which is what exactly we did. So we built the foundation as an operating system, very sophisticated architecture. And on top of that, we build the AI infrastructure. and orchestration and the UI. And without this, we strongly believe without providing a context, the AI can never be effective in the space. That's why you see in the industry, the AI adoption is nowhere where it should be. It has been deployed more for finite, on the fringe activity versus core activities because unless you can find a way to give context to the data, AI will be very limited in terms of usefulness and in terms of accuracy too.
Yeah.
So we tackled the space from a foundation perspective, and we built everything on top of that.
What more can we see from you in the next couple of years? So obviously you're in the market now. You've got funding, you've got backing, you've got first clients. You mentioned the first bank wealth manager coming on board soon. From a product perspective, will we see significant changes, or is it just getting that product out into the market and delivering it to clients?
We have a very ambitious, very aggressive product roadmap.
Mhm.
Uh, One, launching, the more data we have, the more we can develop AI skill sets,
Yep.
all the way from recommendation engines to an unstructured data engine to a meeting engine. So all of these are skill sets we are building on the platform, and the amount of agents or the use cases is like almost unlimited. Like we have work for the next 3 years to build more and more of these agents as we ingest more data.
Yep.
The second thing is evolving the product to support multiple financial products. So we are very focused on wealth investment products. Our plan is to hopefully by year end support insurance products. We're going to get alternatives, eventually banking. So adding more products on the platform is a key priority for us from a product roadmap perspective.
And is the roadmap determined wholly by yourselves, or is it also something that's developed in partnership with existing and future clients?
It's with partnership with existing and future clients, and we have some amazing also advisors who are big industry influencers who constantly give us feedback on the product roadmap. That's why we were very careful and selective on choosing which clients we want to work with at the beginning because our clients currently we don't call them clients, we call them partners.
Yeah.
Because of they have big role in the industry, they have a lot of influence and a lot of insights on the industry trends. So we view them as partners that will help us in a big way evolve the product.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about installation? So, this is, an orchestration layer. It sits on existing infrastructure. What sort of requirements or needs does it have for a firm to consider when it comes to installation?
Integration is where the biggest pull is typically integrating with the existing systems. And the other thing is we come with pre-built services, like for things like account opening, money movement, but there are no standards in this space. So companies tend to customize a bit these journeys,
Yeah.
not do it from scratch, but customize them. The good news is the more we grow the business, the more we build the connectors with the ecosystem of the wealth industry.
Yeah.
So we already have integration with the big custodians, with the major portfolio management systems, with the CRMs, and we can keep adding more and more of these connectors. These connectors drastically reduce the implementation timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at, obviously we talked about the evolving or product and service landscape. Are there other factors that you see that are really shaping the US wealth management sector? Whether it be, we all know the client wealth transfer issue. There's different segments of wealth. There's different needs from wealth clients nowadays. There's obviously M&A, there's consolidation. When you look at the industry, are there sort of drivers that you see as critical for one for Avantos and two for the industry in general?
You already mentioned a couple, like the wealth transfer from an operations servicing perspective brings extremely more complexity to the space. Things like transfer of asset, change of ownership, these are complex events
Mhm.
that without high volume, you can handle them with humans. Now that they are increasing in terms of volume, they become super challenging without proper automation. That's one. Two is, as you know, there's a lot of aggregation in the industry, consolidation in the industry.
Yeah.
Companies in wealth management are becoming mega companies. You have independent wealth manager that are exceeding the 500, $600 billion AUM. So these are not boutique firms anymore. These are real financial institutions with big ambition, with ability to go into multiple products and business line. As a result of that, the infrastructure will have to keep up with this. So we're seeing a lot of professionalization of these institutions that are becoming more and more looking like a banking institution in terms of capabilities, in terms of tech. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of excitement in the industry, a lot of velocity, but a lot of focus on operational scale.
What about AI? One of the things I think we hear and see a lot is the leadership element. So it's not just about tech, it's not just about infrastructure, it's also about people. Do you see a big push from the industry to, change its mentality, change its mindset, have new leadership skills, have new ways of thinking, in addition to having a better tech infrastructure?
We're already seeing this. We're seeing new blood in the industry. Start seeing some rethink in terms of org structure of the
Yeah,
roles of people in a traditional organization. Still early stage, by the way. Like I wouldn't say like we've seen consistency, but some firms are already pushing the agenda on that because AI, similar to any other tech, unless you have humans who are going to adopt it and rethink what they do, you will, of course, still get value, but not the real value you would get. And in our space, the biggest role we think for AI is not to replace an advisor per se. Like that's not where we're targeting, but it's like, how can you institutionalize what an advisor needs to do to service the clients? Because
yeah.
currently, it still relies on a human being, whether an advisor or a broker or a banker, to say, okay, by the way, I have a portfolio of 300 clients. What should I do at any point of time to service them? Humans cannot do it systematically. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
This is where AI would take a big role to proactively help the advisor or operations proactively service their clients and give them a better experience, give them a better financial horizon, all of that. That's how we view AI in our space.
Do you have any views on, whether firms will be doubling AUM with this, whether advisors will be managing double the clients? Do you have metrics on it, or is it just it's a growth story? But
Well, the metrics, I mean, still early stage. I would not be surprised in 2 years or 3 years to see like 100% boost in advisor productivity.
yeah, yeah,
Or same thing on the operation, like you will see huge increases. We're already seeing some really good impact, but this is still the beginning of the journey.
yeah. We're right at the start. And
Yep.
do you see that as new clients coming into the industry, or is it an expansion of wallet share, or a growth in the products? Um,
All of the above, and obviously, there will be a lot of new entrants to the wealth space.
yeah.
You see now this forward-looking, we working with a number of them, startups, wealth managers, who from the beginning they want to be an AI forward-thinking wealth management companies, and they're going to put also a lot of pressure on the big institutions who will need to very quickly adapt and change the way they service their clients with AI.
Completely, because it's not the typical model, is it, for your standard private banker, financial advisor, broker, right? That's a piece of paper and a telephone, and they're
Yeah,
probably used
yeah.
to
Again,
doing
like
it on the.
we're not confusing. I've been there in 2016, 17 when the robot advisor wave took up and they're like, oh, it's gonna do all the advice for everyone, and it's no human. We don't view it this way. Relationship still matters in a big way. But again, like human being by nature cannot service hundreds of clients. Systematically. So it's a
Yeah,
way like
yeah,
how can you, because if you're not doing this, your competition is going to do that and they're going to take market share from you. So there will be, I think, a lot of movements to make sure nobody is going to be left out in this space.
yeah. I was reading a piece on LinkedIn, I think, the other day when someone said, the average advisor spends 40% of their time, or whatever the number was, doing basic administrative tasks. And technology can come in and clean that up. But I'm thinking to myself, well, your average human is still not going to use that 40% wisely because they're not systematic, right? Like you said. So it takes a mindset shift. It's going to be an evolution. If we look forward over the next couple of months, what sort of developments will we see in the market from Avantos? Have you got any launches lined up, new clients, big news coming?
Yeah, I think we're gonna hopefully this year announce that we're gonna be now servicing private banks, like high-end private banks. It's a space that we're not in yet fully, but that's gonna be a big space for us. We have a lot of deep integrations we're building with the custodians that we're gonna announce throughout the year. We have some major climate clients coming on board that will just make us a more valuable platform for the market. And we're going to be launching a lot of new AI agents in the next few months.
Perfect. And any plans to look overseas?
We understand the global market extremely well. We love the international market. We just need to be ready for it. Currently, it's a capacity play.
Yeah,
Um, we will eventually do it with a design partner, maybe at some point next year.
yeah.
London is definitely going to be the first between the London market and the Canadian market. These will be the more interesting for us to start with. But yeah, we have the ambitions to deploy in Europe and in Asia at some point.
Brilliant. Well, if you do make it over to London, remember to bring your brolly, right? That's always the advice, because you just never know what the weather's going to hold.
I've been to London many, many times, and I agree with your advice.
Perfect. Well, Rabbi, thank you. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks for giving us an insight into Avantos. Great to hear the story and hear about all the progression, and I wish you best of the luck moving forward.
Stephen, thank you.
Thank you for joining us once again for the Wealth Mosaic in Conversation. If you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Please also leave a rating and a review for the podcast and share this episode with your colleagues, contacts, and friends. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast, email Stephen Wall at stephen@thewealthmosaic.com. See you next week for more conversations.